Hi, my name is Mina Alroun, and this is my self-evaluation after completing the Circular Economy course. So when I first started this course, I thought that if only more people had more sustainable practices in their lives, we would have a much better future, and that NGOs were working towards saving this earth for the next generation. By the end of this course, I realized that I was both right and I was wrong. Because what I discovered was that NGOs are not working for us having a better future for our children. They were actually working for my generation because climate change is happening right now and so fast that I probably experience its effects before I actually hit my own retirement. And also in the course of the assignments and the group discussions, I learned a lot. In the assignment about the climate challenges that my country is facing, I went on a lot of my government websites and I discovered that it was difficult to discover anything at all. That while my government talked a lot about its efforts to have a more sustainable future, it said very little about what would happen if it failed and what would happen if other countries failed to reach their sustainability goals, which forced me to resort to finding a more reliable sources which had a wealth of information and gave me a much better awareness about what I was facing and how fast it was going to happen. In the course of the assignments, I also became exposed to new services and companies that I had never heard of before. Prior to this, my knowledge of a circular economy was limited to a couple of apps that were hiring designer clothes and designer bags to people, and that was my idea of a circular economy from a commercial perspective. But then I was exposed to amazing companies that would refurbish phones, that would extend the lifetime of machines, and that would refurbish even floor tiles. And I wondered why I had never heard of these amazing companies before. And I realized that that was because of what we call in marketing a share of voice, and they have a huge lack of it. And this got me thinking, if what is happening so fast, why aren't we mass consuming these products and why don't we know more about them? And I realized it's because these companies have a fraction of the marketing budget that huge companies like Coca-Cola, for example, have. And Coca-Cola, which was the subject of an assignment that I did, had a huge mass coverage about its plant bottle innovation. And they seem to also control the media. So the same media that reported about this innovation failed to mention that Coca-Cola was also the world's largest ocean polluter. Also, in the course of learning about these innovations, I realized just how little access other companies have for these innovations. So, for example, because Tesla keeps an open source for some of its innovations because it's interested in spreading knowledge about sustainability and promoting it, Coca-Cola doesn't do that. And it only licensed this innovation to non-industry competitors. But other companies, which were ranking right after Coca-Cola, did not have access to this innovation, even though they were also the world's largest ocean polluters. And I thought of this from a marketing standpoint. How can we increase awareness since the environmental agencies seem to be doing the lion's share of spreading the awareness of this? And I realized that their problem was because they operate as nonprofits and they don't spend like a for-profit. So they start with very little funding, which leads to very poor marketing and advertising budget, which leads to poor advertising, which leads to lack of awareness. And that even when they do decide to spend a little bit more on their marketing and advertising, they are facing a huge stigma from people who think that they're being irresponsible with the money that they're donating to them, and then they start defunding them. And I thought the only way to break out of this is to break this cycle of stigma and to change this perception of stigmatizing NGOs if they start spending as a for-profit. And then once that is done, there will be more people who are aware of what's happening around them and how fast it's happening. They'll know that I'm going to be the last generation that's going to know what 30 degrees felt like. And they're going to know that my country, for example, is going to be submerged in water, a huge part of it, before the end of this century, and that I might not even live long enough to see that because in 20 years I'm going to be facing a water crisis. They're also going to know that we're not alone in this, that something that happens in a country thousands of kilometers is going to affect them eventually too. I learned from the group discussions that one of my classmates who's facing an issue of over farming in their country is going to directly spill over to me because that country is responsible for providing food to my country, and that is going to result in me having a food shortage within the next 30 years. And once more people know about that, more people will take action and stop seeing this as a problem that they can solve individually or only on the level of their country. They're going to realize that it is great to have more sustainable practices in their lifestyle, but also people who are privileged to vote should also use their voice to pressure their politicians and their countries to pressure other huge companies like Coca-Cola and other governments to follow more sustainable practices, because that is the only way where we can affect huge and real change fast enough to actually make a difference. And throughout all these lessons which I had learned, a lot of which have alarmed me, I have also discovered incredible companies, incredible services, and incredible people who are working towards actually having a lot of change, which gave me a lot of hope that we can actually turn this around, and also gave me a lot of determination to be part of this movement. Thank you.